and you're dealing with that singular company. That kind of closes off the concept of a marketplace. So we wanted to create a true democratized marketplace, very much like Zillow, where you can just go to the map. You don't even need to sign in. You can put a request in. You can see the pilots there. You can go directly with them, and you can get a quick turnaround. And the goal is to get that imagery fast, store it on your dashboard forever. You can share, you can collaborate with it. You can download the imagery, send it to a partner, and they can see in real time what's going on with that property.
So that's amazing. And you're kind of helping out two different parties here, right? You're helping out the real estate investor, and you're helping that drone person who enjoys this hobby of flying and make it a business for them as well. Not only, or if they already have existing business, to expand on that business, right? Marco added that he actually the drone pilot with part 107, I guess, licensed part 107, so and you're doing both parts of it. And I'm sure he would love to be able to use his drone for other than personal use, other things, right? So when you look at these images that you've seen, what are some of the stuff you've noticed about houses, in the real estate world? What are some of the things you've seen going, holy goodness, that we probably are not seeing through Google Images or any other company? What are you seeing with the property, backyard, roof of the house? What kind of stuff are you seeing?
So for us, what we're noticing is, when you have 3 centimeter resolution, you can see the individual tiles, you can see the condition of the roof, you can see if a fence is torn down in the backyard or the paint is real bad, even on the sides of the house. As this drone orbits around the property, you're able to look at an oblique angle of all different angles of the roof. So if a roof's, you got different grades of the roof, you're able to see on one side of that grade and go around. You can see where there's potential leaks, discoloration, damaged tiles. We have terracotta roofs here in Florida. The Spanish roofs are common. And any visible damage around that roof is a lot more noticeable than you'll see in the 30 centimeters satellite imagery resolution that you get from Google Earth, or Bing Maps. So we're looking at 10 times the resolution of that commercial product that's out there with a current look as it is today, and not like months or years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. That's really cool.
It's amazing. We look at images all the time, and we use those images as fact, as property conditions. And I'll bounce between Google Maps and Bing Maps just to get the most newest map. But when you get these images, and how soon, if I make an order today, how soon that typically come in for me as a consumer and be able to see the images?
Sure. So, to keep in mind, we're early on and we're in the beta right now, but the way that we built the marketplace differently from other people is it's enticing to the drone pilots that are out there. The offer to them. So to answer your question quickly, our goal is to get within 24 hours. There's obvious weather conditions that may delay that. It might be raining. There may be a hurricane. You're not getting a quick turnaround there, right? So there's a sense of, you got to be realistic about the turnaround. But as far as getting the density of pilots in the network to make a quick turnaround, that's where we had to look at our business model and analyze, like, okay, what's the best business model that's going to get us more pilots on the network quickly? That's also going to give them a little bit more demand so they can put more money in their account each month. And the major difference that we're doing there to enable that is we're almost removing ourselves almost completely as the intermediary between the two. Our product isn't the drone pilot's imagery, if that makes sense. So when you order through PayPixel, it's not going to be, we're not controlling that product. What we're doing is we're building the software to remove the friction in the process of finding people, if that makes sense. And the pilot gets to take away the majority of the payment, the order cost, right? We take a small transaction fee and they can continue to grow business with you. So if you have other houses in that area, you can go back and store them as a favorite pilot. They can continue to fly again.
Wow.
So it's good to just mention the business model itself of the marketplace, right? You said it yourself, like you're dealing with problems on two sides. So for you guys, you want the ability to see quickly. I've dealt with investors who said that they had Uber Eats go to a location, take pictures, and then keep the pizza that they ordered. They text back and forth to the driver, say, hey, thanks for the photos. And that was it. And that was a really cheap way for them to get imagery. But that shows the pain. Like, it's difficult to get that. So if I ask people today, like, where would you go find imagery? Where would you go to have somebody take photos for you for a property? And they go, oh, I don't know, Facebook, maybe word of mouth. I don't know. So the first thing is Facebook. And it's a place that's not really built for what this is. The other side of that is the pilots, and who are mostly photographers as well, which means if we have somebody go to a house for you to take drone imagery, they can easily use a camera to get on the ground imagery as well. So if they have access, where they have access in the public viewing, they can take the picture of the side of the house, the front of the house. So it can go, not just aerial, but on the ground, and in some cases, even interior, if that's accessible to the people legally, right? So that's where we're at. The problems that they have, though, is important to note. These guys there's 250,000 pilots across the US, and the average pilot makes $12,000 a year. So it's a gig work for most pilots out there. It's a side job. We want to increase that market by increasing the demand, to have more people come in and buy imagery, to make 1 million pilots making $30,000 a year. That boosts the industry 10 times just by making the software that allows that transaction to occur naturally, right? And that's what we're trying to do for them as well.
I'm presuming you can also do commercial work too, right? You can check out any kind of property, anything you need from a point of view. And from the customer point of view, can we direct what we're looking for? Hey, we want this or we want that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is we're incorporating APIs, and we're using a web order form where the customer will be able to use our standard web order form and also go into the description, put some more information in there to really tailor it. And when the app is at full maturity, you'll just be able to go direct with the pilot that you choose, and you can DM them directly in the chat. So there's a log of what's going on. There's the web order form, everything is there, and it's bound to the order. So when you get your order rather, it's on your dashboard. All the communication has been there, and it just makes things easy. It puts it right there. And then when the project is done, a year later, you can go back to your dashboard and see all of the products, all of the orders that you've ever had, like Zillow on a map. You can click on one, see the output. Again, still download and share the imagery later on down the road if you need to. So commercially, it's a significant boost to insurance and prop tech, where you have companies that can order through automation with the API. They can take a standard order form and say, okay, for every property that we have come in now, distribute an order here on the API. So, and the pilots will receive it just as if they're talking to a person, be able to fulfill those orders, and those the orders are filled through automation via the API. So yes, that's the direction that we're going.
Oh, that's cool. So are there any privacy concerns with a drone flying around a person's house? How does that address?
Absolutely, that's a good question. And this is something that is because the industry is early. This is where public opinion meets the lack of education meets ad hoc legislation, and this is a common push. So I think it was 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 2007 or 2011. Google Street View came under fire. Google went to a class action lawsuit, and the judge ruled in favor of Google. And it was basically the expectation of privacy was pulled into effect. And the judge basically deemed if you're taking imagery from a public area, it's not an invasion of privacy. If you are trying to defeat somebody's personal fence, or you're on their private property taking imagery, that's another problem. So, but this Google car going down the road in the public domain was deemed, by all intents and purposes, safe. It was not something that you could say was an invasion of privacy. So there's a push right now. Some states are different. They don't agree necessarily with other states. There are regions and states that don't agree. What is considered an invasion of privacy from the air? We've got to keep in mind that this is a new technology. People freak out. We've had satellites for years be able to look down in your backyard. Not only that, but we've had airplanes flying over and creating 10-centimeter resolution imagery, and you can see people in the backyard with that imagery. And they've been flying every month. They'll fly over your house, and people don't even realize it. It's not until you get a drone that you can hear and you can see that people start getting concerned with the technology that's been around for forever, right? And so that's the issue. And now the public awareness is there. There's a stigma that we got to work through. So in the industry, we're still in the education phase of saying, look, we're not trying to look at you in the backyard tanning. We're trying to get access to this roof. So we have to be smart about it as well. And this is a give and take situation. People that are using drones to inspect properties also need to know some of the limitations that are there as well. And it's important to say, like, say if you have a tenant in the home and you're trying to do due diligence on a property that they might not even be aware of, that's up in the air, right? You don't necessarily want to alert that tenant that you're inspecting their property. You don't want, 3 people a day going on the door asking to be let into the house to take pictures.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of be discreet, right? And you want to be discreet within the bounds of the law. So you don't necessarily want to put a drone 3 feet over the roof, scanning the roof and looking at every single tile. That doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is if you put it in the public domain, you put it 50 to 100 feet above the roof, you still get amazing imagery. You can circulate the roof and then you can take off and go. That's a better situation and solution. You still get amazing accuracy in your images, and you're still able to tell a lot of the story. We also have to educate pilots on that as well, because there's a lot of pilots out there that don't understand. They still feel like they need to go knock on the door for every one of these houses and let them know that they're there. And that's not the case either. They can do standoff inspections. So we're in an education phase. We have to educate what the limitations are to the customer, and we have to educate what's legal and what is acceptable in our pilot community as well. So no